Meet Andy, a young developer from the UK who sold his business for $600,000 and is now living the nomad life in Chiang Mai. I asked him why he left the UK, how it is to live in Thailand, questions about the blockchain and cryptocurrency, advice for upcoming nomads, and much more interesting questions. So yeah, stick around and enjoy the video. My name is Varis, let's go. I'm here at the cafe Mushroom, looks like a mushroom, and I just met
Andy.
Andy, nice to meet you, Andy.
Nice to meet you.
Where are you from and how old are you?
I'm 32, from England.
From England, okay. And what do you do for work?
I'm a developer, or I have been for a few years, but I struggle with the question because I have been a developer, but I've sort of run my own business for
so
the last few years.
You are a developer and you also run your own business?
Yeah, well, the businesses I sold a couple of years ago, so mainly a developer now, but I've kind of jostled between the two, yeah.
Okay, so you are not running any business anymore?
No, I'm sort of starting one up in the phase of kind of building it out at the moment, but yeah, nothing ongoing yet.
And why are you here in Chiang Mai?
I've lived in Chiang Mai for most of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I came over because I was looking for somewhere to go, and Chiang Mai popped up as like a digital hotspot for a lot of people, yeah.
And how many times already have been here in Chiang Mai?
So I came over and I spent about 7 months here.
Okay.
And then because I met an Australian girl here, I went to Australia for a year, and then we came back. I forget when it was, but COVID happened.
Yeah.
So we were allowed the sort of free extensions. So we just stayed and stayed and stayed since then, really.
And why Chiang Mai? What's special here? I mean, you lived already 5 years here.
It's a good question. Everybody asks me, and I don't know. But the best way I sort of can think about it is there's something different, especially from England, where you can just wake up, slip on my flip-flops, and this applies probably to most places too, but when you're in England, you have a good sense of what shirt to wear because of what other people will think about the shirt you're wearing. You have a good sense of, what's cool, what's not cool. And I remember standing in Australia once, so again, it sort of applies over there too, but even more so here, I think, where I have no idea what local people think about what I'm doing, what I'm wearing, what I look like. So it all kind of falls away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's something nice about just getting out, not caring so much about what other people think because you can't tell, and just rocking those flip-flops and just heading to a cafe and doing some work.
And how did you get into this lifestyle, working remotely?
So my first developer job was with a guy who worked out of basically a nice shed in the garden. So it was kind of pretty chill. There was not a lot of requirements for being at the office or anything like that. I started working from home in England. And then, I just fancied a trip abroad, and I said to the guy, can I work in Thailand then? And he said, sure. So that was the start of the working remote,
So you had a job in England, and you asked him if it's possible to work remotely, and then you just did it.
Yeah.
Okay. What are pros and cons of living this kind of lifestyle?
Cons, nothing I've come up with too much, or come against too much. It's just, at some point, depending on how you're doing it mainly, where things aren't your own things. So if you're renting like a furnished place and that kind of thing, I think you start to think it would be nice if I had more of a reason to set up more of my own thing. Like I work from a laptop. What I would like to do is have a nice setup at home, but I just feel like what's the point if I'm going to be gone soon? So I've come up against that a little bit recently. Pros, I mean, I am a man of convenience. I'll pay for convenience and pay too much perhaps for convenience. So everything here is convenient, whether it's Grab, whether it's just more affordable food than it is at home. All those kind of things that you'd expect, really, just convenience.
Okay. Is it hard to find a routine?
No, I don't think that's dependent on whether you're abroad or not, I wouldn't say. I think that's just down to you to figure out how best to set that up for you.
How does your average working day look like?
Trying to decide to leave the house at the start of the day, and then coming to a place like this.
Okay.
I've been here a lot over the last couple of weeks, most days. I find once I get out the house and I'm here, I feel silly if I'm on my laptop not doing the work. If I'm watching YouTube, I just feel like everybody else is going to be looking at me thinking, what are you doing here? So it just helps me get in the zone. So just whatever it takes to get out the house, and then the routine takes care of itself. I think.
Okay. Can you talk more about your work? What are you doing there?
Okay.
You are coding?
Yeah. So I guess when I first came to Thailand, working for a guy, He had a couple of systems that UK colleges use and that kind of thing, so it was just maintaining that really. And then I started to pick up, for the developers out there, they'll know what I mean, just sort of React, JavaScript based stuff, Node, that kind of thing. And I started to have my own ideas, and then I developed Are you familiar with Shopify?
Shopify?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I developed a Shopify app that sort of helped stores create a kind of box builder type thing, and I sold that a couple of years ago. Since then, I've just trying to figure out what to do next. So I'm currently developing a blockchain-based protocol, I guess is the fashionable word to use. So now I'm doing that, which involves some different stuff, which is quite nice.
Interesting. The Shopify application you have built, did you see while building a Shopify shop, you saw a pain point, or how did you find this problem?
Yeah, so my best friend back in England, Jason, he's on YouTube now. His cousin came to me a few years back. She had a Shopify store, and the options she had available to her sucked. She was trying to create like a somewhat luxurious looking gift box company where you can select what goes into your box, that kind of thing. But yeah, they just didn't really suit the style of her website. So she asked me to make one. I did a pretty poor job at the time, and in my head I thought, what I'll do is I'll make this for her, but I'll keep in mind that other people can use this down the line, and I'll turn it into a business. And I didn't do that. I just made it for her, and it was I did it too quickly, and I didn't put as much time in as I should. Anyway, fast forward, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I thought, I've got an idea. Let's have a look if they still suck. And they did. There wasn't any new apps, so I just made it. I did no marketing, and over the course of 11 months, it grew to 1,100 paying customers.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it did.
And how did you sold it?
I put the app up there. I found a few forum posts that were people in some way asking for something like that.
Yeah.
And then I wrote a post explaining why my app would cover their needs. And then all I did really, because it was only me the whole time, all I did was just make sure when a customer had a question or wanted something extra, I just did it, and I did it very quickly. Okay. And that was it, really. I had $100 free credit from Shopify for marketing.
Amazing.
I spent that, but nothing else. Yeah.
And can you talk about how much you sold it, the app?
I think so. So I can't really remember the steps it took to get there, but at the end, it was about somewhere between 18 to 20,000 US dollars for the month, and then I sold it for 630,000.
Wow! To Shopify or to
a company that I think at the time and may still be doing with acquiring different apps, create a sort of portfolio of their own.
And are you covering your cost of living with your savings, or are you still working to cover your costs?
Yeah, well, I have been. I've been covering everything with that.
Yeah.
And now I'm hoping to cover it with the new thing, yeah.
Talking about blockchain, you are building a new product or application on blockchain based. What are you doing exactly?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a skeptic with a lot of things blockchain related. So what's important to me is the thing I'm making has a clear sort of separation. So on the front end, which is what I guess, hopefully people will use, it's just a way to get notified, whether that's, email or whatever it is, any notification method you could think of. They get notified upon the sort of occurrence of an event of your choosing. So for an example of this is there are a few apps out there that do stock alerts.
Okay.
When stocks hit a certain price, they will get alerted and they can do whatever they need to do off the back of that. What this will do is it will use blockchain as a consensus mechanism to say like, this event has occurred, and that will be verified or validated by the users of the protocol. So they're basically much like Ethereum is the owners of let me know if I'm not making too much sense, but owners of a certain token, because they have that token, and they're basically putting it up against their decisions. So they will say, I will risk my token valued at this amount to say that this event has occurred, and it's sort of crowdsourcing a decision that this thing has happened, and anybody waiting on that decision will get notified. So I haven't sold it very well, that's not my job. I'm working with a guy in Australia, and he's much better at that than I am. But
Okay.
yeah, there's a notification side of it. This is very normal, very what you're used to. And the idea is that people will sign up, not really understanding that it's blockchain behind the scenes. We'll just use blockchain as a good way of making sure that the decisions are truthful.
Okay. What's the name?
It's called Scenario.
Scenario.
So Scenario Protocol.
Scenario protocol, okay. Do you plan to live this kind of lifestyle long term? Stay here in Thailand?
Yeah, I've never minded so much where I am, so I don't know. I don't know where I'll be, but I think wherever it is, it'll have to be with a sort of a more long-term mindset. Probably will be Australia, because the girlfriend's from Australia. I've got a partner visa there, so that's easy. As a sort of holes in the market, that kind of thing, no, I don't think so. It's quite easy to find ideas, and it's quite easy to see why ideas work. You know, you can pick an idea that's been saturated by many other products, and that kind of validates the idea itself, and you can jump in and just think, well, I can make it a bit better doing this, a bit better doing that, and you probably do quite well. I think that's generally quite easy. I think what I need to do is just learn more, put myself in a position where I don't know that much.
Yeah.
And I think that would be where I end up going, yeah.
Okay. Talking about crypto, blockchain, what do you think where Bitcoin is going to stand in the future? And
yeah, I've made it sound like I'm a good person to ask, but I'm probably not.
And also, I mean, you are building on blockchain.
Yeah, I think most people think when they hear blockchain or cryptocurrency is, will number go up? They'll think about Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin, can I make money? I've never been interested in that. I made the mistake of trying to be interested in it when I'm not, which is a recipe for losing money. But I'm just not interested. I don't think that's where the emphasis should be or will be at some point. It just needs people creating things that use the blockchain for what it's good at, which is maybe a consensus or something like that. Outside of that, I don't think it's useful for a lot of things. So I think thinking about it like an investment vehicle is just, a recipe for disaster, in most cases anyway. Yeah.
Are people going to use the blockchain in the future more? Is it becoming more integrated into our life?
I used to say yes, and I can imagine it sort of popping up in every little place you can think of. But largely, I think the more you think about it, it's a very slow, in a lot of cases, what people are trying to use it for is to become a very slow database.
Okay.
Unnecessary usage of the blockchain. What it's good at is, for example, I guess, sending money across borders, untraceable. Not untraceable, but it's trustless. You know, you don't have to trust the other person you're interacting with or what have you, but I don't think it extends much outside of that. Digital art has been kind of interesting, and you can definitely see how things like collectibles can exist on there quite well, because you can prove that you own something. I don't think it's that exciting though, although collectibles are quite a big thing, aren't they? But yeah, I think most people get excited about it because, I guess, ignorance is bliss, right? You think it makes sense to use the blockchain for, like, one thing you might have seen quite a lot is gaming. Have you come up with pre-gaming, the term? Yeah. What most people see is games built on blockchain, and that's kind of a phrase you hear a lot. But in reality, what it is a perfectly standard game that uses AWS or Google Cloud or what have you for the back-end systems. And what they will do is create these tokens on the blockchain as you interact with them. If in a game, you've created a new gun or whatever it might be, you'll have a digital kind of representation of that on-chain. So it goes from being built on blockchain to, in some way, having a token on the chain, which is a very different thing than what people hear when people say that they're building on the blockchain. It's not on the chain. Yeah.
So would you say it's more like hype word to use? Yeah, we are using blockchain and it's built on blockchain.
Yeah, I guess at some point money flowed in that direction. So to get investment using the fashionable words of the time makes sense if your goal is to get investment, and that's the goal. And I think what you would have seen over time now is all these ideas pop up that want to use the blockchain. Nobody uses it because why would you? There's perfectly good normal alternatives, because when you use something like, say, a music streaming platform, you want to listen to the music as friction-free as possible, whether or not I'm trying to think of the platforms that have popped up in the past related to music, but whether or not you want some digital representation to say like you listen to the song, or how many times you've listened to the song, or whether or not you own a part of the song is mostly irrelevant to 99.9% of people, right? They just want to listen to the music. So whether or not it loads from a Web2 server or somehow from the blockchain is irrelevant, I think, to them.
Right. Yeah, your technical understanding is...
No, not at all. I think it's not even technical, really. I guess it's just you take the time to listen to why they're building on the blockchain, and just most people don't do the part where it's like, oh, do you need to? And then sometimes the answer is yes, like payment systems and that kind of thing. You can really imagine why it's a good idea, but yeah, in a lot of cases it's just not yet. Anyway, who knows?
worthless because there are already solutions without using the blockchain.
Yeah, I think this might be a bit harsh, but it seems where you have the group of people that are trying to build products to fill a hole, it's a lazy way to fill a hole. Almost like you're creating a hole that doesn't exist so you can fill it. But yeah, if you take a step back, like it just doesn't exist, that hole. So just go looking for another one, I think, is a good idea.
All right. What would you tell people who also would like to work remotely, live abroad in another country and earn money online?
Yeah, I think for the first part, I think there are two very different ways of doing those two things. So the first part, which is going abroad or living abroad, there's no substitute for just going. That's all you can really do, right? You can plan and prep all you like, but there's no substitute for just leaving. So as soon as you can afford to leave, you've got to go. And the second part is to earn money online, I don't think is the way to frame it, because you'll just have an endless sort of Googling session where you're looking at all these different ways of earning online and none of them sound very good. So it's just maybe, what do you like doing? Is there a sort of an online aspect to that somewhere? Let's give that a go. So it's not a focus on working online no matter the cost. It's, what do I like? Can I do it? Maybe give that a go, yeah.
All right.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.